if you can do a bit, I mean, you could probably do even a bit of that. Just
I could do another little intro outside if you wanted to.
That's fine. The thing is, if I mean, if we have permission to use footage from the movie, then we can splice
I was going to say
footage with. You've saying on the guys are sitting here.
Oh yeah, cool.
Just do that. Yeah,
brilliant.
Use anything you want for the movie.
Apart
from the ending. Use anything you want for the movie. That's fine.
let's just ask you a couple of general questions here.
Shall I?
So how did it all come? How did you get into it in the first place, Gary?
I always wanted to make a movie. I've been a fan of horror movies for years and years and years. Have you got enough light and stuff?
It's fine. We're cinema direct, so it's
I wanted to make a movie for years and years and years. Never realised that I'd be able to do it or it's achievable. And my only experience of making films is literally watching films. So, like I said, one day I was sitting there watching Planet Terror, Robert Rodriguez film, and it was all really grainy and grindhousey, and I thought I could probably make a movie on a shitty camera, put the grain over the top of it to jump on this whole wave of grindhouse type films, and maybe make it look better than it is from making it look worse. And at the same time I was watching that, literally had a text from my friend saying, "Do you want a camcorder? My sister's giving one away." Like, yeah. So I literally sat there, pulled out a pen and paper and wrote a 26-page kind of treatment for the film. And just took it from there. Spent a couple of years really rewriting it until I had like at least 80-page script, as I found out. A page is per 1 minute of film, supposedly. So I was like, okay, so I need to do at least over 60 pages to make it a feature. And from there, I started shooting at weekends with friends. That was the idea, just do it like Peter Jackson style with bad taste and film at weekends. And I started doing it. We were only doing it on bank holidays, so it was pretty sparse when we filmed. We did 3 death scenes, so I figured I'll get all the death scenes done, then I'll do the story, stuff like that, and I'll do it with all my mates. And it really wasn't working out like the way I wanted to do it. So it was kind of right, let's take a step back. So I planned a date to do it. It's like, right, January 2011, I'll start shooting the movie. And when basically while I was leading up to that date, I watched loads of making ofs, read loads of books on directors, Peter Jackson, Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Spielberg, loads of people like that, and just started doing my own sort of film school for myself in the way the stuff that I liked. There's no point me going to film school really, because I'm not the sort of person who could just sit there and listen to someone. I'll probably just fall asleep. I'd rather get on the case and just do it myself. And the way I could do it by reading books about the directors I liked, my interest carried on. I'd carry on reading the book, I'd read it again, I'd read it a third time, blah blah blah. And yeah, it just came from that. Then eventually I was like, right, I'm going to do it properly. So come January 2011, started looking for crew, started doing shouts out. Emma came about through Facebook for another friend, and that's how it kind of happened. I'd be at a wedding, say, and someone said, "Oh, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going to make a movie." "Oh, I'd love to do sound recording." "Great, I hate doing sound recording." "Great, you can do that." But I knew that I was going to do quite a few jobs myself, because I come from a music background, and making music myself over the years of trying to do albums with different people and things like that, things never happened, and it always ended up being, if you could do it, just do it yourself. And I didn't want to wear too many hats, but at the same time, I know I'm quite bossy in a way, and I'll be like, no, I want to do it like this, I want to do it like that. So I did write it, I did film it, I did edit it, I did direct it, and I scored it as well, which is quite a lot of things to do. But at the same time, I figured if I can learn all these, if I go on to do other things as well, I kind of know how those departments work. Even if I'm getting someone else to do it, I can go, okay, cool. Well, I know from my previous experience that you've got to do blah, 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 and I can be on the same sort of level with these people as they're doing it. And it was a good way of doing it. I would suggest anyone who's going to try and make a film, if you're going to do that, if it's not too hard to do and out of your reach, try and do as much of it you can yourself. But at the same time, on the other hand, I'd say don't do that, because it's actually quite a hard thing to do, because when you're coming up to start producing it, it's just trying to figure it all out of what, you know, okay, so I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that, I've got to make sure the camera's in focus and the people in shot. I'm not even thinking about the script which is being said. I'm just worrying about they're in shot, you know. So it is quite a hard thing to do, but at the same time, it's quite rewarding. And like I say, I know all those departments now. So anyway, yeah, 2011 January, came down here after a friend on Facebook said, yeah, I know of a place where we can shoot. Found this place, secured a location. Figured, even though it looked really nice in the winter time when there's no leaves on the trees and it all just looks like this, it looks nice. We figured like, well, okay, we need to film like springtime. So started shooting in April, and that was the time to shoot. So then it's a case of doing casting process. So Emma and myself, we started, we went on a website called Star Now, where you can get actors, figured out all the actors and actresses we needed, put casting calls out for them, and started getting auditions. Had at least about 70 odd people, I think, come back to us for roles in the film, which was amazing considering it's like, well, we're not paying, we can give you food, cheese sandwiches, and pay for travel, and that's it. And yeah, it was great. We managed to get most of our actresses from that. Some of the other actors, Dan Bonet plays Craven. He's a friend of my wife, and he'd done a short thing, I've seen it, and he just popped in my head. He's quite a funny character. And I was like, do you want to play Craven the policeman, who originally was a serious policeman, but when he came round, we did some audition type takes. We figured that he needs to be more comical, so he and myself rewrit the character and had a backstory for him and everything, which is quite strange because not many of the other characters in the film actually have a backstory, but we're like, okay, cool, we'll make it something else. So we did that, and now in fact Dan's writing with me because we got along so well. He's now writing with me. We've done written two feature films already, and yeah, we want to get them shot.
Is that since you finished shooting?
Yeah. So Insecurity is the next one we want to do, feature film, about a couple of security guards just in one building on Halloween, which basically it's just taking the idea from shooting this. You figured out when you write a script, you need to write a script with what's in your means. You can't go and write a script about spaceships and things. Well, you can, but if you want to, unless you're going to make a real B-grade comedy type schlock movie, there's no point doing that unless you want to really try and make it look okay. So write what's in your means. So I figured from doing this is that's how you do it. So yeah, we've written a script which is 2 characters, 1 location. That's the film. And that's more cheaply achievable than something else. Yeah.
Awesome,
Sorry.
you answered loads of questions.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, sorry.
No, but also,
yeah.
you're really plugged into the way we're thinking there as well. That's, you know, all that stuff. It's, about script writing within your means, thinking about that beforehand. Yeah.
Well, a really, really good book, if you haven't read it, is Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew. Have you read it?
No, I don't read.
Read that.
I don't read.
I know of it. I haven't really.
It's a diary form, so it's easier to read diary form.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he made El Mariachi. And he basically says in that, write what's in your means. If you've got a dog, if you've got a house, blah blah blah.
I have listened to the director's commentary on El Mariachi.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Pretty much the same sort of thing. Yeah. So that's where I got that idea from, really. But yeah, that's what you have to do it like this. But yeah, we got the shack. Came down here to shoot down here. We kept discovering things like we never even knew this window opened. It was literally, we never knew. That's like that, really fixed it in. Then someone just did that and was like, that's incredible. You can even look at it there, how nice it looks with the cobwebs. It's just. So that's why we shot the Craven talking to the 2 girls. And that's funny that was because Dan, who played Craven, and Sophia and Jane, who played Nancy and Jamie, had Sophia's still never even met Dan. We shot them at different weekends. We shot Dan in April, so I was here pretending to be the characters, the other characters he's speaking to, while someone's reading the lines with him, and I could do all his takes. Like a month later, same thing. The girls in there, I would stand here, and I would just film them, then just cut it together, and it worked perfectly. Things like that open your mind up to like, wow, if I can do that without characters even meeting each other, what possibilities are there? And it is really endless when you think about it. And that way you can cheat stuff as well. like the new short film I'm trying to do at the moment, trying to find a location is too hard. So it would be a case of probably finding different locations and filming little shots in them to make one house which doesn't actually exist. That's like the magic of making films, really. And that's not even getting into special effects. You know, that is just the bog standard cutting from back and forward.
So before we get on to that,
Yep.
just you could. What do you tell us about the crew a little bit? The crew that work with you, because we asked Emma to give us a few words about you.
Yep.
I'd be interested to see, you know, because you had a skeleton crew, but just run us through, because you said you're doing everything. I mean,
Yeah, well, no, obviously I did everything. So, crew-wise, for The Shadow of Death, Emma and myself producing it. My friend Andy Clark, who was sound recordist and holding the boom mic. Then we had Mark Kelly doing effects. We didn't have things like, I didn't even see when I started doing it. I didn't know what you kind of needed. It was really like, okay, so what is the basics of how I need to film it? We didn't have hair and makeup. That wasn't the case. We didn't have someone doing production design, art design, costume design, anything like that. I'd say to the characters, I want to kind of throw a 70s vibe horror film. So if you can just find your costumes yourself, that'd be great. So if you can just get like anything which kind of looks 70s, like get a yellow t-shirt, great, because blood looks good on yellow. You know, things like that. So what else was there?
but how did it work for you? You know, so just how, like diameter-wise, did you plan it beforehand, or did you think about that stuff beforehand, or when you were actually in production, was it just a case of you were running the show, or you were directing it? I mean,
Yeah.
were you able to clearly tell the other people what they were doing, or was it just a bit of
Yeah, kind of. But everyone kind of knew what they're doing because we'd all meet in my house in the mornings of the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. And I'd literally just have a little chat with everyone and say, well, this is what we're doing today. And they'd know from a couple of days before. I'd send a text out to everybody saying, this is what we're going to be doing, this is what we're shooting. Everybody knew what they had to do. Mark was doing effects. He would be here, and we'd use the back room of this cabin for him to sit there and be his little workshop. So if someone's going to be killed later on in the scene, I'd try and film a different shot. So it gave them enough time to work on that, doing the makeup. Then they could come out and we could go, great, we're ready to shoot that.
When you say makeup, though, that's all effects makeup.
Effects makeup, yeah, not normal makeup. Sound recorders, Andy, he was just working. It's like a bass player and a drummer, a sound recordist and the filmer. They've basically got to lock in together and be on point of each other. That they can almost like look at each other and know that it's all ready to go. Like a little nod, yeah, right, you know, like a bass player and a drummer would in a band. So that. I didn't have to tell him what to do. He knew what to do from the get-go. He was great though. He'd turn up on shot and he'd go off and get atmospheric sound of the area and location we were filming in before we were filming. And I didn't even ask him about that. He said, "Oh, I'll go and get wild tracks of everything." It was great because obviously you need wild tracks when you come to do sound later on. It makes it a lot easier when you're cutting together the footage. Then that's it really. Karina Jane, who played Deborah, she kind of came on as kind of like continuity and a script supervisor in a slight sense, where she was just very good at, oh, that was in the wrong gav, that was there last time. Okay, cool. I wasn't even looking at these things. Then she'd be like, oh, that's not what's in the script, and so it was good having someone doing that because, like I said, I'm sitting there shooting. I'm not thinking about scripts and all these other things.
Okay, so can I just ask how you said how long of a period did you shoot over? I think.
Oh,
and what sort of length of the shooting days? And were they all planned? Because before you said your initial thought was to just do all the special effects and then do this, approach it like that. So you just tell us how you ended up doing it.
Yeah. Effects-wise, Mark and myself would sit down in the pub and we'd sit there and go, right, what's an inventive way to kill people? And he'd come up with things like the bong kill and things like that. And just from those discussions, could then go ahead and plan those to do those. And it was a case of whenever actors were available at the time. Sophia, who plays Nancy, she performs all over the world doing burlesque and breathing fire and grinding her groin down wearing some sort of chastity belt thing, and it was hard with her because she was always busy. Like once when we filmed with her, she didn't sleep all night. She'd been at another stage show, which was great for her character. It was a stoner, it worked fine. And getting all the actors when they're planned, ready to go, because the location's sorted. Great, we've got that for 3 months. So each weekend's like who can do what and when can they do it. I didn't even have plan Bs. Any eventualities that came up, someone's ill or someone's sick, I would just have to do it on the fly. Okay, well, let's film this scene then. But luckily, everybody was good. So from those guys telling me when they were ready, that's how we could plan each weekend. Once those weekends are planned, we can then figure out what to shoot. Like Dan Carter Hope, who plays Dan, we killed him on the first day of shooting before he even started his journey up from the skate park, meeting the girls, going off into the woods to this place. And so for that case, we had to get 2 costumes because obviously I'm killing him, putting blood all over his costume. So we're gonna have to have a replica costume for it. I actually had to paint an Evil Dead T-shirt myself. That was the one that we killed him in. That was the way to do that. So from that, it's kind of like your foundation. Location's done, actors and actors when they can shoot. Then you work out what scenes you can do. It's kind of like a layer of each weekend, what you can shoot. That's kind of how it came about for that. Everyone kind of knew what they're doing because of that way of planning. It's the best way of doing it. I'd give everyone like an email and text a week before saying this is what we're doing, even the scripts pages. These are the pages we're doing, so they kind of knew what was going on.
How long were you shooting these?
Sorry. So Saturday and Sundays we shot. We did the one bank holiday Monday, but every day was generally meet at my house about 9 o'clock. I think it was about between 9 and 10 because some people come from London. You know, people delay the traffic. Blah blah blah. Then we'd get out here try and get out here for like 10 o'clock or any of the other woods or anywhere else we shot because we shot other woods in sort of a good 6 mile radius from here. Then we shot till about 5 o'clock, about 5:30. By that point, everyone's kind of getting a little bit tired, and it was the best kind of time to finish it. We'd have lunch breaks when everyone started getting a bit slower and wanted a break. We had lunch breaks and stuff. The only day which was a lot harder to shoot was actually the last day of shooting, which is the build up to the end of the movie. That whole probably 15 minutes or so we shot one day, and it just went on to the point where it's starting to get dark, and this was pretty much summertime as well, so it's getting pretty late, but we had to do it because we had no other time to do it. But that was it really. So you're looking at 7 or 8 hours a day probably shooting at weekends on a Saturday and Sunday. We shot April for Craven stuff 2 weekends, maybe 3 weekends, then all of May every weekend, and beginning of June filming everything else. So you're looking at probably 18 to 20 days shooting at about 8 hours a day. That's what I think it was.
And did you end up, were there any shots that you planned to do but you didn't end up catching, that you had to kind of work out a way of...
Well, the stuff in the script had to change, just because it just wasn't easy to get some of the stuff without the budget. When we actually, no, because what I didn't, because I was going to be filming and editing, I didn't have anyone else to liaise with so much, so I kind of knew in my head what was going on. So I did shot lists, I didn't do storyboards. That way I could get on set and I could go, okay, cool, I've got to do a close-up or a medium shot of someone standing outside the shack. And that way I could look at here and I could see, okay, whereabouts do I want to shoot it from? What's a good angle to go from? Rather than storyboarding it and keeping it locked in there, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm not Stanley Kubrick or something. I'd rather have the flexibility of being there on set and being able to just shoot any sort of area or place I want to be. So shot lists are better for that, I think. So no, not really. I think everything was pretty much shot what I wanted to. There might have been the odd things that didn't come out as well as they could have done, but that's the beauty of editing. You can just cut stuff out if it doesn't work, as long as you've got your script or the story you want to put across.
So just briefly on that, sorry if I misunderstood, but so how strict were you with following the script and
how strict?
And how strict were you with? So did you say you had a shot list?
I'd shot list
Okay.
every scene.
Okay.
Was shot list.
So how strict? How
Pretty-
much of that
pretty-
did you?
I'd say 80% of it.
All right, so you stuck to it.
I kept to what I kind of wanted. But like I say, it was not storyboarded as shot list, so I could choose the angle rather than storyboarded. That is the shot you're doing. That is a shot. That wasn't going to be the case. So yeah, but like, for example, I was like, okay, guys, can you do me a favour to a couple of the actors? Can you go off and try and find somewhere where I could shoot you guys hiding away? And they just wandered off and found somewhere in the woods for me and said, oh, we found this place, great, I'll shoot there. I was really flexible and easy like that. But that's what's quite good having other people work with you so they can say no at times, because I remember one time Mark was at the time working on World War Z and all these other films, doing effects, and he said, oh, you'll be alright the weekend. I was like, yeah. I said, well, if I run out of blood, I could probably just use ketchup or something, couldn't I? And he's like, no, you don't use ketchup. And it's good having these people saying to you, no, you don't do that. I'll make up a load of blood and you can take it with you. Luckily, he came on set, so he didn't. I didn't have to do effects as well as shooting and everything else. But no.
But do you think in order to get a film made,
Yep.
you have to be fairly flexible and think like you are thinking? Do you think, I mean, that would. I'm not an expert. I haven't worked in pro film. I've worked as a snapper on sets and things, but it seems to me it's pretty regimented stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think the way you're making a film like this, you can't really afford to be that regimented, purely because of the logistics of like what you're saying, where you don't know, you've got to change your schedule around anyway. So
Yeah.
actually, it's going to save you a lot of time if you get the actors together and you just go and film it rather than worry about it having to be a certain type of place as it was, as you imagined it. Being too perfectionist.
You got to be both. I think you got to have it completely pre-planned as much as possible. Try and smooth out any bumps which could possibly occur. Admittedly, I didn't have any plan Bs a lot of the times, but yeah, I had everything pretty much. That's what's going to happen. That's our day. They're the pages we're shooting. But I think on set you can have a slight flexibility. You can have the actors and actresses come to you and say, well, how about blah, 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 and they give you an idea, and you don't even think about it. And of course, that's what happens with the other crew members as well. Or Emma, or someone else will come up with an idea and like, well, try this. Okay, cool. And it opens your mind up a lot more. But I think you have the plan of going out and shooting like you wanted it exactly to be, but when you get there, be open to the flexibility from other people around you, giving you creative input into the thing you're doing. That way, a load of creative forces come together and make something which is going to be better than maybe just yourself. Of course, it does work, like I said, Stanley Kubrick, one of those people who would be like, this is what we're shooting, that's what we're shooting, and we will keep shooting that over and over and over until we got it. And you can be like that. But I think flexibility works well from making films, especially in the world of independent filmmaking. When you've got no budget, you've got to be able to do what you can. We were out in the woods and I walked by a load of bugs. Was it bugs? Ants. A massive ant farm. Just walked by and I was like, okay, everybody stop. So we'd stop. And I go, okay, cool, I'm just going to shoot this for a bit. And then it's like, okay, actually, if you guys walk along in the background there, I'll shoot the ants, then I'll come up to you, and you guys just walk around blurred in the background. And it's a nice shot in the film. And that wasn't planned at all. It's like, oh yeah, I'll write the script, I'll find an ant farm. Yeah, I could be walking around the woods for the next 3 years trying to find an ant farm. But we just found it. So yeah, you've got to have flexibility and be able to do that. Especially in independent filmmaking. You can't, plan exactly what you want to do if you've got £1,000 budget for making a film, for each film.
You sound like a seasoned pro, and you said you've only. So we should look through your magic bag, and maybe we can.
Yeah. Let's go somewhere else because this is
a
bit boring. If we go back out that way, I'll show us out.
Well, one other thing I was going to ask you about is we were both admiring that opening shot. You know, the table as it opens at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Is that something you're trying to do?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out with scripts and how you make films that you have to kind of give a bit of character development from the get-go, so the audiences kind of know who the characters are the best they can. And I'm quite a fan of the giallo, the Italian genre of films by directors like Dario Argento and people like that, Mario Bava. And they were really fluid with their cameras, and quite often they would shoot stuff. The camera would just pan along. And it wouldn't really it would stop on something. You think, oh, okay, the story is going to tell us something about that. Then it would just carry on moving again onto another thing. So I kind of wanted to do that, and I figured it's a good way of doing it without actually showing the characters' faces. And also, I can get the characters to be doing something which might show their personality slightly. So that is what that was really, and that was all it was. And it took about 7 takes, because it was a case of me getting exactly right the camera as I'm filming around, as well as the actresses. Even though I don't see their voices, and I could have dubbed on another take, which was perfect on top. It was a case of just trying to get it right, and once you get it right, it's like, yeah, that's the one, you know.
It's really good. Great opening.
Yeah, I really liked it. People do comment on that a lot.
Have you seen that? What's that film like? That you know, you sent me the one, the follow up to it, the one where the camera